Hey, what's up everybody, it is Undead, back again for the second episode of my How to Dominate series, where I give you tips, tricks, and general strategies to help you succeed and master all the heroes and villains in Star Wars Battlefront 2. This episode is going to be entirely dedicated to Emperor Palpatine, who is a character I originally thought was really underwhelming, but through experimentation, he has quickly become one of my favorite heroes in the entire game. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have learned some new things that will help you dominate as Emperor Palpatine. If you thought Kylo Ren was fast, Palpatine takes this and turns it up to 11. He is easily one of the most agile heroes in the entire game by far, and this is one of Palpatine's greatest strengths in his playstyle. His low starting health of a mere 650 and his ability to only regen 150 at any given time means Palpatine is a piece of paper that can be destroyed very quickly. Thankfully though, his kit is extremely deadly and completely makes up for his low health pool. Really quick though, something I wanted to point out, because I didn't really know about this until my friend pointed it out to me. If you simply hold down the left mouse button or the right trigger, Palpatine only shoots lightning from one hand. With that in mind though, you actually have to hold down both the left mouse and right mouse buttons at the same time, or both triggers to get Palpatine to use both hands and consequently his full damage output. To very briefly go over his abilities, first he has his chain lightning attack that bounces a powerful electric current between enemies that deals a large amount of damage to every enemy hit. Second, he has his dark aura ability where Palpatine literally becomes a walking hurricane, where he slows enemies to a crawl and inflicts a decent amount of damage over time to anyone standing within the circle. And finally, his third ability is his electrocute ability that acts as a snare to any infantry or hero inside the cast radius, immobilizing them for a few seconds and leaving them completely defenseless to any incoming attacks. Similar to Kylo Ren, Emperor Palpatine is all about getting up close and personal with enemies, but unlike Kylo, large groups of enemies are Palpatine's best friend, and I'll go over why in the next section. Before I dip into specific strategies, let me go ahead and go over some star cards that will tie into what we will discuss shortly. In my opinion, there are two star cards specifically that you have to run for Palpatine to make him a complete monster. The first is Surge of Lightning, that allows Palpatine's chain lightning to bounce up to 4 more targets at a time, effectively doubling your total amount of enemies being able to be struck to a whopping 8 at a time. That is insane, dude. But wait, there's more. The second card ties directly into this, and it's called Lightning Absorption, which heals Palpatine up to 30 health per enemy struck by chain lightning. And notice how it doesn't say killed, but simply struck. Now, the third card can be a bit of personal preference, but I personally go with Amplified Aura because I find the extra damage useful if there's 3 or more enemies within that little radius, because that tends to happen pretty commonly. But some other cards they can give some thought to are the cards that allow Palpatine to use his basic attack for longer without running out of stamina as fast, as well as the card that allows his basic lightning to damage enemies further away. First things first, let's go ahead and talk about Palpatine's dashing ability, because if you want to be a successful player as Palpatine, you're going to have to master this ability. So if you press the roll button, which is Alt on PC, or circle or B on PS4 and Xbox One respectively, Palpatine will do his iconic dash forward. And you can do this pretty frequently, and it really lets you fly around the map incredibly fast. And you pretty much want to use this to get into or out of combat quickly and safely. Now, unlike Kylo Ren, Palpatine is the tip of the spear. He's best used when front-loading a push onto an objective and clearing out swarms of enemies for your teammates. Now, the way I handle this is there's actually a checklist of things you want to do right before you assault an objective. And first of all, you want to toggle on your Dark Aura so you can get that damage over time and slow all the enemies in the objective. Secondly, you want to dash into the objective itself and locate the largest group of enemies you can find. And finally, you want to chain lightning that biggest group of enemies so you can get some health back, as well as mop up the last survivors with your basic lightning attack. Here's an example of that in action.
Bow to your empire. Have a job.
The whole trick to why Palpatine is so good and just so potent is because with the star cards I mentioned earlier, Palpatine's best ability, his chain lightning, can now damage and hit more enemies and rewards you with more and more health for doing so. Not to mention, Chain Lightning's cooldown is surprisingly short. In regards to enemy heroes though, provided they don't get the jump on you, Palpatine can make short work of them, especially if your team is supporting you. If an enemy hero is pushing you aggressively, just dash away, dodge their attacks for a little bit, or blast fire, and then carefully close the distance by using your Dark Aura ability to slow them down, and then immobilize them with your Electrocute ability. If any teammates are around, it's a guaranteed kill every single time. So overall, the most important strategy to keep in mind with Palpatine is speed. Dash in with Dark Aura activated, Chain Lightning as many people as possible, electrocute any heroes or Wookiees, and then dash back out if you need to. Always attack with your abilities ready, and never go into an objective with abilities on cooldown. With all of that general strategy out of the way, let's go ahead and take you through the do's and don'ts of each of Palpatine's abilities. First up is Palpatine's most powerful ability, his Chain Lightning attack. If you are using the star cards I suggested earlier, then not only is this ability your strongest that you have, it's also your lifeline and the only way for you to regenerate any of your health back. And for that reason, you want to use it tactically. You do want to use Chain Lightning when you see large groups of enemies, as this will give you the most health back on return. And additionally, you do want to use Chain Lightning on multiple heroes or Enforcer classes like Wookiees, as it will cause a very brief stun animation and allow your teammates to get a few cheeky hits in. On the flip side, you don't want to use Force Lightning on a single target, because doing so will waste your ability and only net you up to 30 health back at a time, and honestly, it's just a complete waste. And finally, you don't want to go into an objective with Chain Lightning on cooldown. This ability is an absolute room clearer and is essential to breaching heavily contested rooms. Use this ability wisely, but most importantly, be patient and choose your moments. Wait for groups of 3, 4, or hopefully more to use it, so it will have its maximum effect. Palpatine's next ability, Dark Aura, is definitely one of the more unique abilities I've seen in the game so far. Those little gusts of dark energy may look innocent enough, but as soon as any enemy steps inside that vortex, they are immediately slowed down to a crawl and left as easy targets. You do want to use Dark Aura in conjunction with your Chain Lightning every single time it's available, because Chain Lightning leaves enemies severely wounded. It doesn't actually kill them outright unless they were already damaged by something prior. By using Dark Aura alongside your Chain Lightning, any troopers or heroes that survive that will very quickly die off due to the constant damage over time. You do want to open up an assault on an objective with Dark Aura, as this will most likely cause all the enemies inside to panic and try to flee from the constant damage. Now, you don't want to use Dark Aura when moving in useless space, i.e. trying to run up from the front line from spawn, or during a retreat when you have to bounce out of a bad situation. Dark Aura is for offensive purposes, not defensive. Don't waste it. Finally, we have Palpatine's third ability, which is his Electrocute ability. Now, the best way to think of this is kind of like a kill switch for enemy heroes and enemy enforcers. If they carelessly wander into that close of range to you, just pop this ability and they will be completely stun locked for a brief window of time, but just long enough for you to deliver massive damage alongside your teammates. Now, you do want to use this ability against any hero that you challenges you, whether it be one that just creeped up on you or one that you just aggressively push, as it will leave them completely helpless. And you do want to use this against a Wookiee if you find yourself in a pinch and have no other options. One of the most important things to keep in mind when you're playing as Palpatine is that you don't ever want to attack an objective and open up with an Electrocute first. Doing so will force Palpatine to stand still for 2 seconds or more while he has to go and cast that animation, and just leave you completely vulnerable to enemy fire that will utterly melt you down. And lastly, this should go without saying, but don't electrocute enemy vehicles. It won't do anything against them. In conclusion, Emperor Palpatine has quickly risen up through the ranks to be one of my favorite dark side heroes in the game. The situations that give nearly every other hero a run for their battle points, that is, being surrounded and fighting large groups of enemies, merely fuel Palpatine and make his abilities more dangerous and give him more and more health. His kit overall is really solid, and each ability feels important and contributes to Palpatine's overall success. His nimble nature and quick dash makes him one of, if not the, most agile character in the game, and a complete nightmare to target and fight against. And on that note, that about wraps up episode 2 of my How to Dominate series. I really hope some of you guys found these tips and strategies useful, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, and if this video helped you out, I'd be forever grateful if you share this video with a friend. Let me know which hero you want to see next, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next one. Catch you later.